Grinning wide with a dark side. Happy face killer where secrets hide. We're going to be talking about that and a whole lot more on today's episode of Crime Through Time. I'm getting good at this, Solomon, huh?
You're getting the hang of it, man. I definitely
on.
think you're starting to pull it together there, Frankie, when it comes to these intros.
I'm trying, Solomon. I'm trying to make it catchy with the Frankie J touch on it. I'm turning over a new leaf when it comes to presenting myself during a live podcast. I might even take English language again.
Well, I mean, we got a good one today because we're dealing with the happy face killer, which for me, this wasn't a serial killer that I was familiar with until this new show, Happy Face Killer, came out on Paramount Plus. So, and we're not sponsoring Paramount Plus. I mean, if they want us to sponsor them, they're more than happy to do that. But I just like the show, and I thought this was a great topic. So, yeah, we're talking about Keith Jesperson.
Jesperson.
So,
very interesting story. I do want to take 1 second though, Solomon, to thank the nearly 2,000 people that watched our show from last week via either live or replays, almost 2,000. So we want to thank each and every one of you for hanging in there with us for the first few episodes. As you all know, starting a podcast from the ground up is kind of boring in the beginning. So thanks for sticking with us and showing support. We do appreciate all the feedback. Again, if you have any ideas for future shows or have any questions about any of the shows at all, feel free to email us at info@rawlive.com with those questions and or requests. But anyways, back to what we were doing, Solomon. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to take a moment to thank our viewers and listeners for, hanging out with us.
No, of course. And I think it's good that we give them the shout-outs because they're the ones that give us that support so that we can keep this going. And, Frankie, you and I, we just love true crime. We just love these topics, and we love to hear other people that want to share that with us. So, hey, the more the merrier. We're all about it. And I always think that true crime is something that it's not the cleanest thing to talk about. Sometimes it can be very dirty, but I also think it's pretty necessary. I think it's a necessity in some extent because I think it's good to know some of the horrors of the world so that we can appreciate the good things that we have.
Jeez, I feel like I was at church for a minute. But yeah, it was pretty deep. I should have some Kleenex available. For me, this whole true crime thing is awesome. I do, out of the 2,000-ish people that viewed and listened, there was one. There always has to be one, Solomon. One person said that we need to start covering true crime stories from around the world because that's what people really want in the United States of America. I, for one, don't really watch a lot of things from overseas. I can't get into the true crime, serial killers, whatever kind of crime from different countries. I don't want it to seem that I'm being discriminatory. I just haven't done enough show watching or documentary watching to even have a clue where to start. So if anybody out there, aside from this one person, you know who you are, one person, go to info@rawlive.com, drop us a message, or anywhere you're listening tonight in the comments, either on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, drop a comment there on if you agree with that statement or not. If you want to hear about crimes from all over the world, we'll try to implement it. Had to get that out of the way.
By all means.
House cleaning, my friend. Got a house clean sometimes when you do these shows.
Got a house clean.
Clean.
I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the Happy Face Killer, and man, this is another serial killer that we're covering, and we're trending serial killers right now. But I just want to let the audience know that we cover all true crime. Right now, this is just what's really trending right now, and we're definitely just focused on this case. And I've been watching the Happy Face Killer series on Paramount Plus, and it's quite interesting. It brings up a interesting topic of just having family members who did these devious deeds, and what would that
Yes.
look like? And we could definitely dig into that a little later, but I definitely want to just talk about a little bit of this background right now. And if you don't mind, Frankie, I'd like to jump
No.
right into that.
So go
Yeah,
ahead and jump into his background. You're the licensed therapist. I'm the licensed true
licensed
crime
Frankie.
junkie.
The
I don't know how I got licensed for anything. I do have multiple licenses, but I don't know how I did it. Anyways, dive in. Let's start off with the story of Keith Hunter. What a unique middle name, first of all.
It is.
Jesperson, the
It
happy
is.
face killer. Take it over, Solomon. Dun, 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 dun,
Well,
dun, dun,
I'm
dun.
going to be pretty brief. I'm going to be pretty short. Now, he was born April 6, 1955. So his birthday just passed, ironically. He was born in British Columbia, Canada. He was an abusive father. He had an abusive father. He had early signs of cruelty, which was animal abuse. And he was a loner. And he was obsessed with control and dominance, which is pretty interesting with this topic, Frankie. But remember, we spoke about this topic on serial killers. We talk about the big three that a lot of psychologists would always say about serial killers is that a marking of a serial killer, you have to have some form of serious child abuse. You have to be a pyromaniac, or you have to be.
No, you don't have to be.
You
don't have to be anything.
Well, they said that you're supposed to have all three of these things. That was the conversation. Is all.
I would argue that. I would argue that all day long.
I would argue that too, right? But then the third one, which is interesting for this one, is the animal abuse, right? So this is another one where this guy didn't have all three, but it looks like he has 2 out of the 3. So I'm starting to think that, with a lot of these people, they have at least 2 of these things. So
okay,
maybe it shouldn't be all 3, maybe 2.
Even having one's bad enough.
Even one bad enough, but one can say that someone that has severe child abuse does not equivalent to someone becoming a serial killer.
I mean, not always, no.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many people that unfortunately have had very bad childhood,
Yeah,
and they end up doing good things in the world. They end up doing great things. They end up being survivors. They end up being advocates, right? But then you have some where, unfortunately, it turned for the worse, which is very sad in this case.
Well, what's even crazier about him, and we're going to talk about this a whole bunch with different serial killers or people that have committed heinous crimes, that at home, they're totally undetected. Their family thinks they're the greatest person, like Keith Jesperson here, being a truck driver. He'd come home, give his kids little gifts, treat them like the world was the best thing. Everything was great. And then he'd go out on the road and do his thing and pick these girls up and do what he did to them, which was horrific. And then ditch their bodies like nothing, which is very just, I mean, to me, that's disturbing. I even hate saying it, but like you said earlier, these true crime shows aren't always sexy. It's not like we're trying to, make light of situations. Well, I joke around here and there when I have the opportunity to lighten the mood. Well, of course. I mean, we can't be serious and have a box of Kleenex next to us at all times when we're trying to do just have a fun, upbeat true crime podcast. Some of this is just weird. This whole story is weird. The guy's weird. He's awkward. He was bullied as a kid. Very tall dude. We'll show you a picture in a little bit from now of how tall and goofy and awkward this guy really was and is. So you can only imagine his childhood growing up, not only with an abusive household, but going to school and being made fun of on top of being abused at home. Did he really? I mean, like Dr. Phil will say, I'm not going to ask him why. I'll just ask him, why not? What really? Maybe he gave up hope and decided to fantasize about other stuff. Who knows? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I would agree. I mean, this is a guy that he had that lone behavior, and he was obsessed with control and dominance. And it makes you think, going back to his childhood and adolescence, this was another kid. It sounded like he was alone. Probably wasn't the most liked kid. Very and as you can see, the trend here with many of these serial killers is that they were loners. They weren't
Yep.
they were almost like the outcasts. Now there are some exceptions to some of them. I mean, I don't know too much about Ted Bundy's child. Like, well, I know about his abuse in childhood, but I don't know much about what he was like in school. Whether he was
Oh, he's
just
very intellectual.
he was definitely intellectual, right?
Very
But
articulated.
he was someone that people was he a charming person because
Well, he was always charming.
right
From the jump. I wasn't thinking Ted Bundy tonight, so I
right
didn't pull up the what do you call it, the next gen stats on him yet. Sorry, been busy. So tonight we'll have to just guess. I'm gonna guess yes, he was probably very charming, or maybe very awkward to the point where he became charming and had to go into school to become a lawyer or a person of authority to be able to manipulate.
I mean, compared to Jeffrey Dahmer, right?
Well,
He
Jeffrey
was very
Dahmer wasn't even smooth. He would just say, "Do you want to go home and do it and have
he
some
was
beer?"
very awkward. I
But
mean, he
people went
did
with him though.
awkward things in high school just to get attention
Yeah,
because he
did.
didn't know how.
He just was awkward guy, man. I mean, he was in the military, and with Jeffrey Dahmer, there was people that went on to Dr. Phil, two guys that were in his unit, alleging, obviously after Jeffrey Dahmer's death,
Yeah.
that he, was raping them in, overseas when they were stationed in the tents at night. He would get drunk, liquored up, and actually rape these guys. So he obviously has some sort of maybe muscle over these guys somehow to be able to get them in those vulnerable positions, or those guys. I don't know what goes on over there. That's another one that's not real clear. Those are just their side. There's two sides to every story. Who's to say that if Jeffrey Dahmer was alive, he wouldn't say those guys are full of it?
When you look at this case, when you look at the comparisons of these serial killers, if anything, this guy was a little bit more up the alley of more of like a BTK. The power, the dominance, that kind of approach with him. All of these, I mean, regardless of how anyone look at it, all these serial killers, they want some form of dominance, some form of power,
notoriety
right?
too.
Yeah, that too.
Well, just like the BTK killer, we'll obviously do a show on him probably like next week. Like the BTK killer, he was proud of what he did. He thought he was great at what he did. He would leave taunting letters behind for the police and the media to get a hold of, where he then would sign every letter with his, what we know now as Happy Face, which gave him the name Happy Face Killer,
right?
Just to taunt police. And he did so for 5 years. So he was on a good run for 5 years. And I think once we get down into the show a little bit, I think we'll figure out that he was finally picked up by police after it was alleged he killed his girlfriend, and then they did all the DNA samples and everything else and whatever, because it was a little bit, 95 DNA wasn't nearly where it is now. We know that, but it was starting to come along a little bit. And his crimes became unraveled at that point. But I won't take you off course, Solomon. You were doing the.
Oh, I mean that's pretty much it. There's a lot more with the background. I don't want to take too much time on the background in early life, but this is actually the same old theme with a lot of these serial killers: is that they've had some form of severe abuse. They've had many of them are loners, not all of them, but many of them are loners. This one in particular, there was a lot of really egregious cases of animal abuse with this one. There was a lot of things he did with birds, cats, you name it. And the obsession with control and dominance, that was the big one with this one.
Yeah.
So I believe with him, he started his first murder was in 1990, actually.
1990. You're right.
1990. And I'm trying to pronounce her name. It's Tanya Bennett, and I apologize if I mispronounced the name, but I think it's Tanya Bennett. It's Taunga Bennett.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first one, and then
police.
Go ahead.
It's safe to say that between the years of 1990 and 1995, he was charged and convicted for killing 8 women across multiple states. So he did only kill, well, according to what we know and what everyone else knows, he only killed 8, but there could be a whole lot more being a long haul truck driver.
Sure.
I'll have to dig into your timeline a little bit here, but go ahead and continue.
No. This is the interesting part here is that police initially charged 2 others. And then Jesperson was very frustrated that they got the credit of these leads, right? So instead of being like, oh, I didn't get caught, no one is getting to me, he got upset about it because he didn't get the credit. And that's when he started the happy face confession letters.
Yeah, I'll get these assholes, right?
And he wanted the attention. Almost similar to BTK and Zodiac. Oh, it was another one, right? Zodiac was he created chaos. I mean, that was one of the very few that they never found, right?
Well, no, I mean, there's probably a ton they haven't found. Either they're dead or in prison is kind of where they go cold sometimes. Sure. But but BTK, you had David Berkowitz, son of Sam, during the New York City blackout, he was going around using a .45 caliber gun and shooting couples in cars and lovers lanes and places like that. So he was leaving notes too, saying that the dog is speaking to him, and he was like getting into demonic Satanism. Weird. He was a weird cat.
He had some serious issues.
Couple.
Let's put it that way.
He still does. But the good thing is he's been incarcerated since that time here in New York State where I live. It's the wonderful state of New York, houses some of the most prolific killers and criminals on the planet.
Yeah.
But he found Jesus. He's a Christian now. So he's been healed. Yet when he comes up for parole all the time, he doesn't even go to the parole hearings because he doesn't want to be let out.
Mm-hmm.
So right there, that tells you the man still wants his little bit of control. And here I am who I am, and everybody here fears me probably, even though I'm old. he's old now. He's bald, completely shaves his head and everything. But why go back out into the real world when I can reoffend in 2 seconds? So
do you believe it was just solely on control, or was it the fact that this guy, he's too afraid to cause harm again?
I don't know if it's that. It could be that he just knows that it's a waste of time to go in front of the parole board, who will probably say no anyways. Right. So why bother? In church, right. I found God. I'm doing good. I haven't killed anybody. I've been here a long friggin' time. To some of these people, it's being institutionalized. They become so damn comfortable with it. Even though every one of them wants to be out and free, they can't handle it. And he got locked up in the 70s.
Yeah.
He would be a mess. Internet, cell phones, everything would be new to him. Even a Tandy color computer, he wouldn't even recognize. So think about that. Why come out? I'm comfortable in here. I still have a typewriter. I still get notoriety. People still talk about me. Why should I go out? Because then something bad would happen. Obviously, people would. How many people would want to go after him? Just like Pam Smart, the one I have the pen palship with. She's hated. Oh my God, that woman is hated. And I use that word because she is. There are people that hate her.
Even today, huh?
Today.
Years later.
Especially the family members of Greg Smart, her husband.
Oh, sure.
Oh, sure. They hate her. They said that they could maybe think of forgiving her if she was to admit that she did what she did, but she's not doing that. They say as long as she stands her ground on that, she did not convince these kids to do what they did, they will not ever have a chance of even thinking of forgiveness. But she is dead set on I did not do that. So that could be a control thing too.
Makes you think. Do you think that the family is more would be It's messed up, but I'm thinking because of that particular situation, the kids that actually did it, you think the family is a little more forgiving to them than Pam Smart for the simple fact
they didn't lie. They didn't say they didn't do it.
Right.
They admitted that they did it in court. They made the deal to plead guilty and get 25 to life or whatever. One got out in 25, 12, and 13 years. So they admitted they did it. They admitted they did it because Pam Smart told them or manipulated them to do so. Pam Smart is saying, nope, I never said a thing to them. All I did was sleep with a 16-year-old kid. That's it. That's all I did. And that's why she's hated still. In the state of New Hampshire, they moved her to New York State. They transferred her. I did some back dive on this because she was constantly being threatened. They didn't have a maximum security prison safe enough to keep her safe. So they did the next best thing. And there's a program that's nationwide where you can do transfers for certain prisoners that require certain sorts of security. And if your state doesn't have one and a neighboring state does, there's like some sort of,
some sort
shindig, something's in place for that to happen.
Right.
And so she's like I said, about 4 hours from me. I don't think I'll ever visit her in person. Maybe down the road, though, if I want to get some content here for the show, I'll go in. I'll go. I mean, obviously, I can't bring a camera in, but I can go in and at least meet her in person and come back and report on it. I'd have to be sneaky, though, because I don't want to lose her as a pen pal, because I don't want to tell her we're doing shows and talking about her. Yeah, even though everyone talks about her, I have I write with her regularly, and I don't want to lose that. She trusts me, and I don't want to lose that trust.
Yeah.
Other people think I've burned them, and I haven't, but I just want to, keep that dialogue open as long as possible for, future content. I sent a letter out to her, I don't know, a week and a half ago. So probably in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, I'll get a letter back from her. Probably talking all about herself and her, because she is a me person, and go from there. And I'll keep everybody updated on that. Interesting stuff. So maybe that's what I should do, Solomon, after every damn show, is just write, if they're still alive, maybe I'll write Happy Face a letter and say, hey, we just did a podcast episode on you. Have any thoughts on that? Do you want to give up? Do you want to give up like another few bodies, and we can maybe help you out and get you some better food?
You never know. You know what? I think after this show, I wouldn't be surprised if he has gotten dozens of letters by now, to be honest.
Oh, he's getting pummeled. He probably loves it.
Oh, he loves the attention. Many of them do. Many of the serial killers.
Wouldn't you? I mean, this is okay. I gotta wait to show you that picture. I can't wait. Anyways, let's show people what he looks like. This is his day where he was booked. Because we've been talking about him for a while. Look at how goofy this guy is. His ears he's got like beaver teeth. Like the guy just does, and he's got those, I call them Chomo glasses. He's got the Chomo glasses of the 90s.
Well, I think that was from the prison. I think those are the ones that are given in the prison.
Well, in the show, they show him wearing that style of those were the style.
Yeah.
I remember the 90s. Those are what people, especially grown men, wore as glasses.
Well, when I worked in the prison, the ones that were wearing glasses, they have those big, wide ones, just like those. So,
or the plastic ones, like the black
ones.
The
plastic, big, wide plastic ones.
Yeah,
I think those are the only ones that they give, unless you're able. I think there is a way where you may be able to order your own as long as they're plastic.
We'd have to dedicate an episode to that.
Yeah, we might have to dig
prison glasses. Yeah, how do you get glasses in prison?
Right.
I imagine. Well, this is also, you got to remember too. This is back in the 90s, right? Where they might not have gotten to the point where they started issuing prison glasses, even though,
Right.
because if you think about it, when we did the Richard Kuklinski episode, he came into the courtroom cuffed with his red leather jacket on and his tinted glasses.
Right.
Nowadays, he'd come in with prison issued black rim glasses, jumpsuit, cuffs, three officers on him.
Right.
So things have evolved. I imagine that the show portrays him wearing those in prison, wearing those in the courtroom, or actually they didn't show any scenes of a courtroom with him yet in the show, but that's the glasses that they wore back in the 90s. So he was obviously allowed to keep his glasses when he went in jail.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess we could grok it. Anybody out there listening to us right now on X, formerly known as Twitter, grok that. Ask if he was allowed to wear his glasses from the road, or if he was issued those.
Interesting,
because I think those are the actual glasses.
Okay.
Of the 90s.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to dig deep into that.
I'm going with my gut on that.
Okay.
I'm gonna maybe Google it just to put this to bed. What kind of glasses?
Fair enough, man.
I mean, ding, ding, ding. Let's put this one to bed. But I mean, here's him in the courtroom. He has those on. They don't.
Right.
So those don't look like prison glasses to me. Those look like something he would have bought.
Yeah, those don't look like the ones in prison.
Well, these are
those are just wide. They're wide, man. See them? Like it was something that my grandfather would wear.
Well, like, yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
Well, they're from the 90s. Just Google it because you know it's going to drive you nuts.
Yeah, man.
Don't worry, I'll carry the weight here. I'm telling you, those were the glasses. Those were the glasses of the day.
All right, fair enough, man.
Well, we do have another picture with him and his family. We did mention earlier in the show that he does have a family, 3 kids. Let's see if he's got those glasses on. Ooh,
that's a big man.
Look at those glasses.
He's wearing glasses? I can't see.
Put your glasses on.
My glasses are on.
Oh, I couldn't see. I don't know. I'm anybody out there listening that can put an end to this battle. Those were anyone that's older than, well, I'm in my late 40s. I'm older than Solomon here by 10 years.
Yep.
Those were the glasses that older gents wore back in the 90s. Those were just normal. Sometimes plastic rimmed, which would be more prison-like, to be honest.
Yeah. No, definitely understand that.
Those look like expensive glasses back in the day. But anyways, wow, we went off track.
So, I know. We definitely went off. Hey,
who cares?
I love it too. Yeah, why not? Why not?
We're just here to have fun. Try to make fun of it's not a funny situation. Let's face it. 8 innocent.
We're trying to make light of it in a very dark topic, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, so many podcasters make it so dark and like just gruesome and serious and you know, I think these are important topics. This is an important topic to talk about, right?
Yeah.
It goes deep within the human psyche. And I think we want to do it in a way that we're not making it too serious where it's off-putting, but we're not, you know, laughing, making fun of it. No, because this is not that type of thing, because we always want to respect the victims in these crimes. But we want to, you know, make sure that people understand, like, hey, you know, we could definitely have a conversation about it and not feel like it's so taboo. That's the word, taboo. Because we should have a conversation, have a discussion with this, because I can tell you one thing, me and Frankie have these conversations all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
We take care of the boring ass shit here on the back channel before we put out the fun stuff on our live show here. Right. Which we thank everybody for being here. But yeah, no, he was just an awkward guy altogether. To get back to him as a person. And from 90 to 95, unfortunately, 8 that we know of, young ladies lost their lives to this guy in torturous ways. And him being such a big, tall trucker dude had some bear strength to him, if you want to call it that. He was finally, from what I'm reading here, this is from Grok. So if anybody questions my source, this is Grok, Twitter people. He was arrested in 95 after confessing to the murder. So he confessed to the murder of his girlfriend, Julie Winningham, which unraveled his other crimes. Initially, others were wrongfully convicted for some of his other murders. So there were other people that were arrested and convicted of other murders that he had committed. But when his crimes started to unravel, when he confessed about his girlfriend, is when they started putting this all together and then finding stuff.
There's a theme here. There's a theme here, Frankie. This is the second serial killer that we talked about. First, it was Gary Ridgway, and now this one, where we're talking about the victims also being one, sex workers, and also transient. This is another case. Well, I know that the first arrest was the murder of his girlfriend, right? But
Yes.
this is another case where we're dealing with someone that's also transient as well. Maybe not to the extent. I mean, this is definitely a much bigger extent compared to Gary Ridgway, because it was only in Washington, and then Portland, Oregon. That was like kind of
his work. That was his turf. That's where he worked.
Right.
Where this guy, being a long haul truck driver, he was all over the place. So that's why I still question. And you know what? You're never going to get the full truth either. I mean, the guy's in his 70s now. He's in prison for the rest of his life. Pretty much lost contact, I would say, at this point with most of his family or friends. So why would he bother even saying, by the way, there's 25 more out there? Like, what's it going to do for him? Nothing. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's not going to care about closure for the families at this point. He's like, whatever. He doesn't care.
No, I agree. This guy's claiming that he has killed over 160 people.
Wait, Happy Face?
Yeah, that's what he's claiming, right? But
I don't think there's enough time. In 5 years, 160. It took 2 decades for Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, to kill 70 something.
70, right?
So it's almost like that's. If you do the math, that seems kind of goofy, right?
He's giving Kukinski energy here, Frankie. As we already spoke about Kukinski, who is a liar, has killed, so many people, but it was actually much, much less than that. But this Frankie, this is the theme with this type of serial killer. He wants the attention. He wants the glory. He wants this persona about him, and he's getting it, right? And this is a guy that is showing a lot of these very negative traits of attention seeking, and he it's all about me, and also just no remorse, which is just awful about this one.
Zero remorse. The guy who's at least for me, I've seen the documentaries and stuff like that about him, but to see the series that's been on Paramount, he just seems like a very arrogant smartass. He thinks that it's a big game still, and he's like still he acts happy, which even adds terror to the already happy face that he signed his taunting letters to the police and news media with. He's just too happy. Like when his daughter goes to visit him in prison on the series, he's just like treating her like this is just a normal everyday, don't mind the walls and the bars and the barbed wire. Just I'm still your dad. And in the show, at least, the daughter was allegedly, I don't know, I didn't do a deep dive on her. Oddly enough, she has her own podcast. His daughter Melissa, who has since changed her name, obviously got married. Melissa Moore, I believe her name is. She does her own podcast called Happy Face Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So she's probably banking on the views right now ever since that show came out. Jeez. She's probably got like a gazillion views and people burning down her email address.
I can't even imagine. All the true crime junkies are just like fiending over that podcast. I can't even imagine.
I might have to listen to it. You know what's funny? As a podcaster, I'm going to admit this. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm just not a podcast guy. Yeah, I'm more of a music dude.
I listen to a few, but you know what? Podcasting, I mean, to be honest, the only time I listen to a podcast is when I'm on a long road. I'm a long drive and I don't want to listen to music. I'm like, all right, I want to listen to an interesting topic. And then I throw something like that on. I know people that would just in the middle of the day, they'll just throw on a podcast. Sometimes they'll study while doing the podcast. I don't know how they can do that because a podcast does require some form of concentration, but people do that. And there is a pretty big audience of just people listening to content in this form.
I will say this. I did do some deep diving before you and I officially launched our project here with true crime podcasts. And for me, and I'm not knocking other podcasts. In fact, I encourage people, if you want to do a good podcast, do your best and people will come. I just wasn't hooked right away because I think it was too dry and too serious and too quiet and too dark. And that's where all the research that you and I did and all the background work we did before we even launched our first show weeks ago, we decided we wanted to be a little different. And that's why we're a little different. We add a little humor to it. We'll go off topic sometimes and talk about other topics because really this crime in particular with Jesperson, the Happy Face Killer, really is comparable to that of the BTK or the Son of Sam or these other prolific serial killers that leave marks, that do things a certain way, that want the notoriety, the attention, the media fanfare, the shenanigans. They enjoy it. That's their way of almost getting back at their haters in most cases. Like Jeffrey Dahmer got fucked with. Happy Face got bullied. Eileen Wuornos got bullied and beat up and tortured as a child, as we all know. And so BTK, I think, I don't know his background, but I don't know, because he was a somewhat normal father. So I don't know if he was abused or beaten as a kid, but the theme seems to be, at least people we covered, the theme seems to be that they were bullied, muscled, or abused in some fashion before they became these prolific serial killers. That's what's really bizarre, interesting to me.
I think BTK had all three. I think BTK he definitely had abuse. This is the biggest trend with all of them. I don't think I've met any of them that haven't had some form of child abuse, whether it was physical, sexual, or both.
Yeah.
I think he was a bit of a pyro guy. I think so. I gotta do BTK. I think so.
No, he was always just his first fantasy came when he saw his family's chicken get killed for dinner, and it turned him on, where he became obsessed with tying knots and bondage, and
right.
he was in the BDSM, whatever it's called. He was like wacky dacky like that. I just want to show this picture again of him and his family, not making fun of the glasses this time, just to show you that this guy appears. Well, that's a prison picture, actually. Oddly enough, that's a picture of him in prison. But if you take those prison clothes off him, he looks like a normal, everyday, never abused, never effed with, never bullied father. He's a big dude. I probably wouldn't try to fight him. He's too tall, and I wouldn't be able to jump high enough to give him a dragon throat punch. So I probably wouldn't fight him because he's tall. Tall people are just goofy. But we do. I think I have one more picture of him. It was only because we were talking about the show. So we all know that this is the picture of the girl that plays on the show, right?
Yep.
This is his daughter, Melissa. Now, this is the real Melissa next to her father's mugshot. What a good pick for an actress. Yep. She looks identical.
Pretty close.
I mean, you can't get much closer.
I think she looks, the actress look much closer to the real life daughter of Happy Face versus Dennis Quaid looking like Happy Face.
Maybe I'll write her daughter too, or write his daughter too. I'll write them both a letter.
That'll be interesting.
She's an advocate. I mean, she might respond.
She might. I think she's pretty
email
busy
addresses for a reason. There's email addresses and mailing addresses for a reason. I'm just that guy that'll use them. Right. So, but yeah, it's just this whole case was nuts, and it all unraveled for him in 95 when he was arrested and convicted and sentenced to. I mean, what else are they going to do? Life in prison, no parole. I don't think there's a death penalty in Oregon, or you would have, I imagine, would have gotten it.
Man, these people, they just want media attention so much.
Yes.
And You know, the interesting thing about Happy Face, it just always feels like with this guy, he never felt like he was the top dog, so he had to get as much attention as
Yep.
possible.
Well, that's what we're doing on this podcast.
Oh yeah, he's getting it. Right? I mean, he's getting this form of attention. I can't even imagine what he would feel about having this. But when you compare it to guys like, Ted Bundy's of the world, the BTK, the Jeffrey Dahmers of the world, he's someone that doesn't get as much attention. So I think even when when people were trying to figure out who this person was, he was just so upset that he didn't get picked. It's almost like this was a draft pick of serial killers and he wasn't in the first round. He got so upset about it. It's pretty weird. But
it goes to show you that being picked last in dodgeball and in floor hockey and volleyball and all that in school can really affect a person. I'm not saying that to be funny.
No, I see your point.
We all know those kids that were picked last. You knew before they even got to gym class, didn't matter what the hell sport was going to be played that day, they were getting picked last. And if they didn't get picked, the teacher would put them on the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look now. Look what it does.
Yeah.
Create serial killers. And not Captain Crunch. We're talking real life serial killers. Sick mother effers. I'm trying not to swear today. I promised myself I wouldn't swear today. I did a couple times. But yeah, like it's okay. But his daughter is doing advocacy, as we know. She did write a book, if anybody's interested. It's called Shattered Silence. And then she does the podcast. So she's definitely, I think, I don't want to say cashing in. Why not? Cash in. Go for it, girl. We actually have it's a clip, and we don't own the rights to this following clip, but I found this clip on YouTube. I don't know when the hell it's from, but it's kind of where the real daughter in real life is talking to an anchor of ABC News. So we'll play just a quick second of it, but she's kind of talking about when her father told her for the first time that how his first kill was. So I want to play that because I think that's important.
Go right
so
ahead.
I'm going to play that.
So I thought maybe the detective magazines was something he's really into, the forensics and crime. Maybe he's into that.
Though she had no idea at the time, turns out what he was talking about was an actual murder, one he had just committed.
The same route that we would take going to the Oregon coast is where he disposed the first victim. Just this way over that direction.
Ooh.
Melissa's dad, Keith Hunter Jesperson, is currently serving 3 life sentences in Oregon State Penitentiary. Prison officials will not allow Jesperson to conduct face-to-face interviews because they say he relishes the attention too much. But we did speak with him numerous times by phone in 2010.
What happened with the first murder?
I picked up a woman at a bar, took her home.
The conversations, extremely candid, full of disturbing details. A killer, in his own words, tells us how and why he committed the first of his grisly murders in January 1990, the very same year his divorce to Melissa's mom was finalized.
We were drinking beer a lot that day.
The woman he met in a Portland area bar was a 23-year-old named Tanya Bennett, described by family as overtly friendly and developmentally slow.
Took her home. I thought I was going to get lucky.
After a night of heavy drinking, the two left.
Wow. Jeez.
We're going to stop that there. As soon as I heard that she was on the slow side, that bothered the hell out of me. Because he took advantage of a young lady that was on the slow side, and he was talking with such ease, like, "Oh, I thought I was going to get lucky." And wow. I think divorce triggered him a little bit too. So it was just something that was added onto the pile of a powder keg, really, that made him snap. Finally, remember we were talking about Eileen Wuornos, where she had been doing what she did for years and years.
Yep.
Luckily, fortunately, unscathed, but then got nearly killed during one of her business transactions, to the point where she felt that everything was a threat to her. This guy lost control because he got divorced, and I'll bet you it was not his choice at all. It couldn't have been.
No. No.
Because truck drivers have a schedule where they're just never home. So wife, kids, no daddy at home. That must have triggered him to become the man he became. And you just hear his voice, and you can hear almost the excitement. Is it excitement? Is this like
weird? It does sound like that. It sounds like he's just excited about having these conversations. Again, attention, the power, and hey, I mean, I don't know him, but it just feels like, man, this guy is just all seeking for that. He wants to be like BTK. He wants to be like, Ted Bundy. He wants to be the superstar serial killer here.
The GOAT. He wants to be the greatest of all time.
Oh my God.
Well, that's what these guys strive. Once they're caught, the thrill is over for that phase of their life. Now the new thrill is getting on TV, getting interviewed, getting in front of the camera, and still talking about
their glory days.
Right. And you got these families out there that are still struggling to this day with the loss of their loved ones, and this clown's doing interviews. And who's going to say no to an interview, even over the phone? That was in 2020, by the way, to voice over the phone interview from the Happy Face Killer. No news journal or show is going to deny that interview.
No.
If we were offered the chance to interview him via live this show, I would do it. Why not?
Of course. Why not? Yeah.
But shame on us, because you got the family out there that, well, we see now that Melissa, the daughter, one of 3 children, is doing good things and advocating for families of victims of serial killers. So good for her. Oh, sorry, I can't breathe. The pollen where I live is just nasty.
Oh, yeah, it's that time of the year, right? The pollen
can't really breathe. No, folks, I did not do an 8 ball. I just cannot breathe. So, yeah, I said that. My bad. Yeah, I said twice.
Raw Live TV.
Raw Live Productions presents Frankie J being himself. Deal with it, or just deal with it. I'm cool. I'm all right.
So Frankie, I want to say that when it comes to this particular case, this is a man that.
Oh my God! See, it's osmosis.
Oh my goodness! Dude, whatever is going on over there is coming down here in Florida. My goodness! The pollen.
Disclaimer: I did not send pollen to Florida. I don't have to.
Oh my gosh! Be careful what you say. That's yeah.
I do want to remind people, now that we have like a little minute there, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the YouTube channel. We do appreciate that.
Yes,
and a half hour after the show tonight, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be live right here again on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, doing the after show where we get together and we just kind of bullshit really about the show, how it went, what we might have missed. And we encourage people to communicate and engage with us via the comments, wherever you might be listening on any of those platforms. We'll even set it up for Instagram for post show, where people that are on Instagram can listen and watch us as well. And definitely engage with us via the comments. And we might even hand out a mic or two if we want to, if it gets good enough. But last week's after show was a good turnout. We thank everyone for being there for that.
Absolutely.
It was a good time, and everyone got to meet my dog, One-Eyed Willie, who's going to make another appearance here and there. We're gonna ease him in because he likes to hog the camera. One of our super fans said that he stole the show, and that's not happening.
No,
I feed him. He's my guy, but he can't hit the buttons on the computer yet. I haven't trained him that well.
Not yet. He could.
No.
He could.
He does. He swipes my phone, so that's why I don't want to give him go ahead at Command Central here in front of my setup. It would be like touching my PlayStation 5 off limits. So
Anywho, with this case, the guy wanted so much attention. The guy now has this attention, and it is a mixed bag when it comes to the society that we live in. We have a society that is interested in this topic, that's interested in, true crime, especially serial killers, because it's such an egregious thing. But then when we do that, we also, a lot of these times, a lot of these people miss the fact that, they were victims that was in part of this. And we always want to make sure that the victims are being heard with this, because at the end of the day, they were people. And a lot of times in these type of shows and these type of topics, they always get lost in it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the unfortunate part
For sure.
Of serial killers.
Real quick on the screen, those are our X handles at Raw Live for me, and the other one for Solomon, the one that includes his social security number that he says is not his social
security number. It's not that.
All right. Well, anyways, those are our Twitter handles, X handles, formerly known as Twitter. Let me get that correct. If anybody wants to join us over on X for our post or after show, and of course on Facebook and YouTube. But with that being said, we are close to the end here. I'm just trying to find one more thing. I had a picture of him now. This is Keith Jesperson, better known as the Happy Face Killer. This is him now in his 70s. So he still kind of has that clown look to him. They might have given him contacts maybe now. Prison issue contacts.
Oh, man.
So, or they don't allow glasses for pictures because they glare. Because if you see our glasses on face could glare and get rid of the eye color. Yeah. But he still has that goofy look. He still has that, like, I don't give a shit. Either that or he's just starting to age, and now he knows that maybe his notoriety is fading with all the new serial killers coming out. Because there's always a new serial killer. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
It's never going to stop.
Oh, it's about that
time to wrap it up. It's our final 10 minutes. This is where on Crime Through Time, we like to just give our final thoughts on what we felt about the show that we just put on, and in this case about the Happy Face Killer. And we always start off with the licensed therapist. Solomon, take it away.
Sure. We're dealing with a guy that has had severe abuse, and he has this history of animal abuse, and I could tell that this was a guy that grew up in a lot of dealing with pain and suffering. And in his years of school, elementary, middle, high school, he gives me the vibe that he wasn't that first kid in dodgeball to be picked. It sounds like he was the kid that was picked last, or his teacher had to like let him get in. He didn't get that attention, but then years later, it sounds like that was something he continued to thrive for. He wanted this attention. He wanted that notoriety. He wanted all of this me component of this. And, you know, when it comes to child development compared to adult development, the things that happen in your childhood can a lot of times translate to what happens now. Now, I don't know this guy. I particularly, I think the things that he has done is just very devious and sickening. I think this is another guy that he craves this attention, just like BTK, just like Ted Bundy, just like a lot of these serial killers, that his whole goal is just to be me. I want the attention. It
seems to be a common theme.
Yeah, but that's my thought on it. What about you, Frank?
Hey, well, I'll give you my final thought. For me, like any serial killer that I've ever researched, any show I've ever watched about any serial killer, he fits the mold of what the BAU or the FBI's behavioral analysis unit would consider a textbook serial killer. Abused as a young child, showing violence towards animals, being bullied, being picked last, being tall, awkward, and in a position to be made fun of very easily. I've been to school, you went to school, kids are ruthless, create a lot of mental damage for certain people if it doesn't get handled or managed or even picked up on. This just seems like one of the, just part of a regular serial killer's makeup. And for me, what bothers me most about it, he doesn't have any remorse, which tells me he's just, to me, and I'm going to use the words, piece of shit. He's a guy that just will not own the fact that he was a monster. He enjoys the attention. He's never going to say no to people wanting to interview him. I think people have just gotten burned out on him.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they were able to say, hey, let's do a show about this guy. We haven't heard about him in a long time. Let's bring him back up. And his daughter's doing the advocacy in the podcast, wrote a book. Let's give her some spotlight. Let's try to heal this family if we can, because the family wants to heal themselves. So for me, on an overall piece of shit scale, I know we have our heinous scale that Solomon uses on the shorts. I would put him at like an 85, just based on the fact that, and see, this is a shitty thing to say too. He only had 8 victims, because we've covered a couple serial killers on past episodes that had many, 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 many more, and not even one is too many. So I want to be very delicate when I say that. But for me, there's much, much more worse that we're going to see moving down the road here on Crime Through Time. So that's my final thought on it. He is where he belongs. He's dealing with what he deserves to deal with, and he's paying the price. And I think he should be under the prison, if you want my opinion.
Yeah, he was definitely a piece of work, man.
Say the least. Jeez, but yeah, definitely sickening. I think we went over him pretty much. And again, everyone, please, at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight, right after this show, half-hour break in between, come hang out with us live and join us and engage with us about the show you heard tonight. And let's talk Happy Face Killer or anything else you may want to talk about as far as true crime. But for me, Frankie J, Solomon, we want to thank you again from the bottoms of our hearts for showing support, being here with us for the first few episodes. And we look forward to bringing you great content moving down the road. And we will see you all next time. And don't forget, this was brought to you live by Raw Live Productions.